I've never really been a religious type. My school upbringing really didn't thrust me into the world of Christianity, Catholicism, anything like that. On application forms and things like that, when it put down ask for religion, I always put Church of England because it was a nice safe bet and didn't really hold me to anything. I grew up in a fairly secular area. Religion wasn't really thrust down my throat, and I really never found any inclination to go down that path. Because I went to church every now and again, births, deaths and marriages, same as usual. Primary school, it was always sitting on the hard wooden floors, singing the Lord's Prayer, doing a couple of hymns here or there, and then somebody praying to us or reading a part of the Bible, which we never paid attention to because the floor was really hard and the assembly hall was normally really cold. We just wanted to get out there as soon as possible. But even though my father was born in Northern Ireland, he was never religious either, so as a result, neither was I. But as I went through my school years, particularly during the RE lessons, religious education lessons, we sort of just went along with it, listened to the stories, didn't pay much attention, apart from the two main stories, which, the fluffy light stories that they told kids, to give them a little bit of interest in what was overall a bit of a fairy story. One of the stories was, of course, Joseph and his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and I think we acted out some kind of a play about Joseph. I think I played a baker. I can't remember any of my lines, it was a very long time ago. But the other one we're always told about is Noah's Ark. Now, the thing about Noah's Ark is it's got animals. And animals are cute and fluffy, because who doesn't like animals? But as you get older, you kind of realise this doesn't really make a lot of sense. And the really older you get, you think, this doesn't make any sense at all. So imagine my delight the other day when I found myself interacting with some strangers on a Facebook post where someone claimed they'd figured out where Noah's Ark was, somewhere in Turkey. Let's just say the conversations didn't really go the way the people who posted the message wanted it to go. Hello again, welcome to another episode of Doubling Down on the Derp. I'm not pointing out any one specific on this occasion. The picture I responded to was this one. In the 1980s, a massive boat-shaped object was discovered on the side of a mountain in Turkey. One man argued that this was actually Noah's Ark. One man claiming that it was Noah's Ark doesn't really mean anything. But there was enough comments going alongside the photo to warrant a little comment of my own, to which I entered the following theory. Remember, if Noah's story is to be taken as an actual event, then polar bears lived within walking distance to Mesopotamia, and the entire human race, every race, descended from Noah's sons. Quite a few people took umbrage with this, and I can't think why. The fact of the matter is, if you read the Bible chapters that surround the story of Noah's Ark, there's not a lot there. It's literally about 2 or 3 chapters, and it's not actually that descriptive. There's a little bit of detail here and there, but it's when the detail comes into it that it all starts to fall apart. Now, some people agreed with me about the polar bears. A lot of other people also agreed with me about koalas and kangaroos and wallabies and ostriches and emus and things along those lines. Things that weren't local to the area where around the Bible was written. Now, obviously, the people who wrote the Bible 300 years after the event and going on for hundreds of years after, they can only draw experience from their own experiences. So when they say the 4 corners of the earth, they're literally talking about an area that's about 300 miles wide, because that's all they knew. So when they talk about building an ark big enough to hold every type of animal on the planet, they actually didn't think it needed to be that big. Now, I'm not an avid reader of the Bible, but I do know which bits to look at when I want to go to the source material. So Genesis 6 is when the story of Noah's Ark starts. The great and merciful God, who loves all of his subjects, was getting some buyer's remorse or builder's remorse and decided that I'm a bit annoyed with this lot that is having children and existing and being human beings, so I'm going to kill all of them. Every man, woman, child and newborn baby, along with every animal who has no moral compass whatsoever, they're all going to die because I'm annoyed. That's it. But Noah, played by Russell Crowe, he found favour with God. So God said to him, I want you to build a boat. And I don't need you to make a big one, but I want you to build a boat. It's going to be 135 metres long. Actually, his actual words are, it's going to be 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide and 30 cubits high. Now, in new money, it's about 135 metres long, about 20 metres tall and about 35 metres wide. In the real world, that's tiny. I mean, that's the size of the Titanic. It's smaller than the Titanic. To put some relative dimensions in context, for my English viewers, 135 metres is half the length of the Thames side of the Houses of Parliament, and for our American viewers, the whole ark could fit on the paved area behind the Statue of Liberty. That's how big it is. The thing is, as I said earlier, the people who wrote the Bible, or people who wrote this fable, thought that that would be big enough to encapsulate every single animal on the planet. Obviously they didn't know about animals on the other side of the planet. But they didn't take two of every animal. That's one thing that kind of gets lost in translation at all. We've all seen the kids' pictures, you know, of the happy giraffes and the elephants and the lions, both appearing to be male, going up the ramp to the entrance of Noah's Ark, which was only 2 cubits tall, apparently. But he didn't. In Genesis 6, he does say, "You will enter the ark, you and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives with you. You are to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. 2 kinds of every bird, of every animal, and of every kind of creature that moves along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. And you are to take every kind of food that is to be eaten and store it away as food for you and for them." Meanwhile, the bad guys in the hold eating the unicorns. Am I getting confused with the movie? I think I might be. So Genesis chapter 7 verse 1, "The Lord then said to Noah, Go into the ark, you and your whole family, because I have found you righteous in your generation." Good for you, Noah. "Take with you 7 pairs of every kind of clean animal, a male and a female, and 1 pair of every kind of unclean animal, a male and its mate, and also 7 pairs of every kind of bird, male and female, and keep their various kinds alive throughout the earth." So I'm assuming he's including insects, and arachnids, and arthropods, and cephalopods, and invertebrates and things like that. Think about spiders. There's 130,000 different types of spider, and this was only 4,500 years ago. They do know what happens to male spiders after they mate, don't they? So it wasn't 2 of every animal. It was 14 of every animal, and 2 of every unclean animal, which I'm assuming like pigs and goats and anything cloven hoof. I think that's how it goes. But here's the big thing. All major historians who've analysed the Bible and the dates and anything like that, ignoring the idiots that are young earth creationists, including you, Matt Powell, who eminent biblical historians have basically interpreted the story of the Bible to have only taken place 4,500 years ago. Which means that in 4,500 years, the entire human race, all 7 billion of us, countless regions of the planet, sub-Saharan Africa, Aboriginal Australians, Mongolians, these white Europeans, all descended from one guy and his 3 sons 4,500 years ago. There's no way on God's green earth that math calculates. Now, this discussion I had with random people on the internet portrayed a few things. One is that people will blindly believe stories in the Bible because they're in the Bible. There's no critical thinking taking place. The Bible isn't a scientific textbook. However, it was quite humorous to see that the people who do not believe in evolution swore blind that polar bears, brown bears, black bears, every kind of bear could have evolved from a single pair of bears that were taken onto the ark. But still, some of the mental gymnastics that were on display really were quite amusing. For example, somebody said that it is believed that the Caucasian peoples came from Japheth, the Asians from Shem, and the African peoples from Ham. The races really aren't much more of a human construct. The genetic information is all there. Yeah, that may be true. The human genome is a human genome, but let's not ignore the fact Noah's sons were the same race as him. You can't get that amount of genetic divergence from 3 offspring from 1 man. It's just genetically impossible in such a short time frame. But then he backs up his words. Of course it is impossible. Any genetic information available can appear in a single generation. What you mean is that it's impossible with unguided random chance. So basically, God did it. Ham and his wife. Sorry, I just can't get over that bit in the film where Emma Watson is just running through a forest shouting out ham.
Ham? Ham!
I didn't know if she was looking for somebody or she was hungry. My response was, so God did it. Sadly, the rest of the planet lives in the real world where a particular genetic lineage can be traced back hundreds of thousands of years in their homeland, not from a single man 4,000 years ago near where the Bible was written. Which I think is a fair point, really. When you look at the story of Noah's Ark, it's a story. It's not a very good story, and it's not a very nice story. It's a story about genocide because somebody was annoyed. And that's not really someone or something you want to be spending too much time praising, because that doesn't sound like somebody I want to be devoting my life to. That's not to say there may not have been widespread floods around that time, which is probably where this story comes from, but even certain religious scholars have done the maths themselves and figured out, yeah, this probably didn't happen. In fact, I'll put a link down below from a group called Biologos, who are a Christian group, but they've looked into it themselves, and they've come up with some pretty interesting conclusions that I think is well worth a look. Now, obviously, from the tone of this video, I am an atheist. And that is not to say I don't believe God exists. That's not what an atheist is. An atheist attests that there is no evidence to prove that a God exists. There's a famous line, I can't remember who said it, I've got it on my computer somewhere. I can test that you and I are both atheists. I just believe in one less God than you. Because there are thousands and thousands of gods. People used to praise the sun. People used to praise rivers. You can Ganesh, Yahweh, Krishna, Vishnu, Lot, Set, any of these gods, anyone you can name, and I don't believe in those either. That's not to say I have an issue with people of faith. If you have your faith and it gives you comfort and it gives you solace, good for you. You carry on. I'm not going to be one of these proselytising people who say that, no, you're an idiot for doing so. I'm not so sick and I'm not creaky. God bless them, love their work, but I don't find myself agreeing with that side of it. No, I don't believe in a God, but if you do, more power to you. If, like I said, if it gives you comfort, who am I to judge? With regards to religion in general, there's that old saying about treating your religion like your family jewels. Keep it to yourself, enjoy it in your own time, and don't wave it around in front of your children. So this has been a bit of a short one. I don't really do a lot of religious stuff. I don't think I will. It depends if anything comes up. Feel free to leave comments. This is an ongoing discussion. These subjects keep coming up, and like I said, the logistics, the numbers, the science behind the aftermath of Noah's Ark doesn't equate at all. A lot of people think we're descended from Adam and Eve. If you're going to take the Bible literally, we're not. We're descended from Noah and his 3 kids, including, like I said, people from sub-Saharan Africa, Aboriginal Australians, every single type of Asian you can find, the Greco-Romans, all Europeans, Alaskan natives, Native Americans, Mexicans, all these other people have taken hundreds upon thousands of years to evolve and adapt to their climate and their environment, which is why they are the way they are. I live in England, so I'm pasty white. My father is Irish, which is why I'm amazingly pasty white. And I used to have red hair, but less said about that the better. But there's no way, scientifically and genetically speaking, everybody on the planet 4,500 years ago had one grandfather. Okay, thank you for watching. That's another episode of Doubling Down on the Derp. More to come, hopefully. If I find anything that piques my interest or something like this that comes up, I'll do some more. If not, it's the same old usual. Anything that takes my fancy, I'll be posting. Got something very exciting coming up soon. Fingers crossed that'll be up in the next couple of weeks. Other than that, thank you and good night.